Hello there, Quicksilver Slash here, and today we have a game coming from my stream just a couple hours ago. And in this one, I'm sailing the Tier 7 Premium American Cruiser, the Atlanta, alongside Flying Goomba, who's in his Fiji. I always find the Atlanta and Fiji just work so amazing together because you got radar, you got smoke, you got hydro, you got anti-air. You pretty much cover off all the great roles of cruisers in a duo, and you can really rack some damage up. The Atlanta obviously fires a lot of HE, the Fiji, all AP. And between the two, you just seem to be able to work apart targets really quickly. But this video isn't entirely about the game I have or that Flying Goomba has. It's more about our team. And you'll see why a little bit later. But to start it off, it's me, because I can't figure out how to break the view away from just my ship anymore. There used to be a way to do it, but it seems a number of the replay controls just don't function anymore, which is rather frustrating. I can't even get into my own control of the view. So something's going on. I hope it gets fixed, but until it does, we're stuck with what I showed during the stream. So off the start, obviously going to Charlie. Why? There's islands there, and islands are the waifu of the Atlanta. You want to find them, you want to hug them, and never let go. They're a big part of what keeps you safe, and you can shoot over them, so you don't really care that they're in your way. First up, I am going to be shooting this Galissoniere, and I mean, pretty easy to understand why. It's pretty much side on, he's an easy target, and hopefully, if I hit him, I'll do some good damage. And with the first volley there, 5,300, next volley connects, and finishes him off. Cannot complain about that, 8,600 damage in, but you can see I've taken a big hit. Now I knew I would, but I wanted to get up to this Akatsuki smoke, because if Goomba can get here too, between the two of us, we can kind of sit here and just pepper things. And while I'm explaining that to him, the Shratsu shows up. I have a holy crap moment, but doesn't look like he has torpedoes, and in 2 volleys I erase him. And that is one of the most entertaining things about the Atlanta. You have so many small guns, you just rip destroyers apart. Like you just saw, 2 volleys. That's all it takes. And I'm up to 18,000 damage, so not too bad. I think the server average is somewhere in the mid-20s. Not really that good, which always kind of surprises me because this is a strong ship. But I think too many people wind up getting caught out or don't really know how to play it, and it costs them damage. You know, they hit kind of 22, 24, maybe get a kill, and they've worked themselves out of the game because they've got no HE left. So while I try to light a fire on this North Carolina, Goomba's firing at that Pensacola and Fiji that we just saw. Unfortunately, they're in and out. And sorry, Pensacola and Myoko. Now if you look at the other side of the map, you're going to see our heroes over there. There's a Nagato, North Carolina, a Tirpitz, and I believe it is the Kagero, who are really gonna nail this match down for us. Now, obviously, those of us at Charlie are outnumbered. A quick check of the map shows that. 2 ships went to Alpha, they've got the numbers there. Looks like 1 is hanging around south of Bravo, but the bulk of their team is coming to Charlie. And that's gonna be a problem for Goomba and I. But fortunately, we're managing to do some decent damage here, and we've got the cap. Despite the bulk of the enemy team here, we have the cap. And that is really a major thing in these matches. If you can sneak in and snag the cap that the enemy team's going to, you get a hit on points. And excuse the yawn there, but that's better than the hiccups I had for a good 30 minutes of the stream. So as the smoke dissipates, no targets are available, I decide, okay, I'm going to move up, support this Akatsuki again, and hopefully I can get ahead of that North Carolina or something and do some damage. And that's when an Akazuki appears. A little machine gun Japanese destroyer. Now obviously I've got radar ready, telling Goomba the second he disappears, radar is coming live. I pop it, there he is, and I'm gonna try to work this Akatsuki over. Or sorry, Akazuki. Because if I can get rid of him, that's a decently strong ship out of the match, and it's someone we don't have to pay attention to. And speaking of paying attention, I'm kind of ignoring a couple ships over my shoulder. But I feel my attention has to be focused over here. You can see I'm still laying some really solid damage into that Akazuki, and he gets finished off by Goomba. So we take out a destroyer, and you can see the Algérie has me on Hydro. At least I think it's the Algérie. It could be one of the other ships in there, but logically, that's who makes sense. So I fire my first torpedoes off, and I actually do this hoping that the Akatsuki would survive and still have theirs, but once again, Hydro is effective, and I'm telling Goomba here, like, this is gonna be a problem. And I'm backing up, I want to support. Goomba gets absolutely ripped apart. He's not surviving here, but he manages to take out the Algérie. So, he got 2 kills, it's a pretty good match. I'm at 2, I'm at almost 77,000 damage, nothing to complain about. I'm a low tier cruiser in this battle, but I'm outnumbered, and I have no eyes. And that's really what's going to cost me, and you'll see here momentarily why. Now, I see the cap getting captured, and I go, huh, there must be a cruiser in the cap. They've got no destroyers left. So, being the inquisitive player I am, and not wanting to give up one of our caps, and knowing the smoke doesn't last forever, I decide I'm going to push out and come face to face to their North Carolina, who almost ends me with that volley. And I go to turn to get torpedoes off, but the tubes were destroyed, and that's my match. So overall, I'm pretty happy with it. And looking over at the other side of the map, we can see the entirety of our team. And this is where the focus shifts. How do you, as a smaller group of players, overcome bigger numbers to hang on to a game? And really the key is working together. It's twofold. One, you have to stay close. You got to be able to share that damage. If you're all spread out, you get focused down one at a time. Number 2, you focus down enemy targets. Pretty easy. But a lot of people really mess that part up, the focusing down a single target. Now obviously the Alabama here, this is an easy target to focus. It's really all they can see. So all their attentions are on this Alabama. The Kagero gets his torps off, and, well, these are looking pretty good. You know, the Alabama's got some good rudder shift, but I don't think she's quick enough to dodge these. That said, if this player had really been paying attention, I think they could have. So maybe they just resign themselves to their fate. And that brings things a little closer. It's 5-on-4. And the big thing that is going to help my team's remaining players is we've got the caps. We had Charlie for most of that game, we had Bravo for pretty much the entire game, and we've got Alpha. So we have a 400-point lead. That means the enemy team has to be aggressive. They've got to get into Bravo and flip that cap. But you don't want to play too aggressively, and that's where a balancing act kind of comes into it. And why, a 1 or 2 ship lead is quite tenuous. So the Turpits was the first thing to get spotted, and then the Pensacola. And all I'm thinking here, as I watch this, is get rid of this Pensacola, and you'll actually see me type in chat, focus him down. At this point, I don't know these players. I didn't really watch what they were doing the whole game. So I don't know if they've all got a square enough head on their shoulders to know the trick to winning right now is to eliminate their guns, one at a time. Pensacola is the sore thumb that sticks out because A, pretty easy to penetrate, and B, he's well ahead of the rest of his ships. And that's really what's hurting him here. Now, the second thing that's going to be important here is this cog row, specifically that set of torpedoes. You can see they're kind of at the main group, and what it's actually going to do is split their group in two. Now, that might not be as important, but it definitely plays into how this comes out. And you can see, once again, everyone on my team is focusing down that Tirpitz. They're not messing around. They're not paying attention to the North Carolina, the Scharnhorst, or the Myoko. Their guns are looking at the Tirpitz with the goal of eliminating him first. And when a couple people all focus on a common target, you can wipe them off the map impressively fast. And these are all battleships firing at the Tirpitz, and there he goes, the North Carolina landing a great hit and finishing him. And in the meantime, the Kagura's got another set of torpedoes off. They're running that Japanese specialty, the reload, over the smoke, I believe it is, at the Kagura. And he wipes out the North Carolina. Now things are completely different. This game is no longer a numbers game or a points game. It's pretty much over. And the reason my team came out on top was they just picked a target. Even now, you can see they're calling a target. The other guys are going, yep, that's what we're shooting. And they're all firing at the same target. No one's picking the low-hanging fruit that is that Myoko. Because you don't want to give a ship a chance to fire its guns. And from here on out, it really is kind of just finishing them off one by one. So rather than going to the normal post-battle screen that I would show and dig into it, this wasn't so much about me, it was about this end of the game. So I'm gonna leave it here. I hope you guys found this interesting. For those of you who didn't get to the stream, this way you can see a little of what's going on in the stream. If you enjoyed it, please consider giving it a thumbs up or subscribing to the channel. And as always, I'm Quicksilver Slash, and I'm gonna have another one for you guys later.